Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo and I am here for Vinland Saga, Season 2, Episode 4. Thank you for your patience. I've been struggling in a lot of ways. The last couple of days have been the hardest because the world has been ending all around me. I just got power back on and have had it off for a couple of days. People just over the hill in every direction are burning. People are burning. Houses are burning. Lives are going up in smoke. I'm in the eye of a storm that, thanks to well-orchestrated public safety measures, didn't encroach upon the town that I live in. But man, it burned a whole lot of other places. In a terrible way, we're deeply lucky because the west side of our town burned 6 months ago, and the right side burned about a year before that, and so there's a whole bunch of area that won't burn right around us. Off of those hardships comes our relative peace this time. But just a few miles away, there's anything but peace. There's terror. And it bleeds out, and it's palpable. I feel it in everyone. Everyone's scared, and everyone's at each other's throats. And I've been scared and foolish, too. I had an experience when I was watching through and editing episodes 2 and 3 of Vinland Saga, Season 2. It was kind of an, oh fuck.
Oh fuck!
I don't know how to express this to you, but I think my job, my calling, my passion is to try to express these things. I've been trying to live my life out there in some real sense. To take the things that I've incorporated and learned and turn them into action. Preferably right action, preferably properly aligned action, preferably action that makes me feel whole and like myself. And that's cool. That's great. But there's a piece of that, and that is when you see something of yourself that you don't like and you recognize it in a piece of media, you have to be able to take that and incorporate it too. It's great to get gung-ho and excited about being a hero like the heroes. It's great to, incredible, deeply powerful, to learn and take seriously the hero's journeys that we see. These struggles against hardship, these powerful, good attitudes toward things. They're ideals to look up to. But it's critical that when we experience distaste toward a character, or disdain for them, or find ourselves looking down upon them, or believing that we see them, it's important to me, that we are able, that I'm able, maybe I shouldn't generalize, but I think it's important that we're able to recognize ourselves in the characters who are maybe not heroes. It might surprise you what I'm going to say now, maybe not, but the character that I found myself going, oh fuck, I really relate to that, was not Thorfinn or Einar. It's Olmar. As I listened to myself over the episode 2 reaction and the beginning of the episode 3 reaction, discussing through Olmar's internal weakness, his tendency for grandiosity that's quite thin, and under that shell lies a squishy center, you know? But more than that, his inability to see the wealth and peace and value of wealth and peace that is in front of him. His lack of gratitude for the incredible situation that he's in. I saw those in me, or me in those. And so that's where I felt, oh fuck, like...
I received another emotional response to this, which, as you know, is not favorable, really. I got a feeling of, oh no.
Ah, fuck. That's a me. You know, it's so fun when we see the smiley face and our monkey brain goes, oh, that's a me. He's smiley. Me smiley. And it's so fun when we see a heroic character and they're like, I'm all heroic. Your drill is the drill that'll pierce through the heavens. You're like, yeah, fuck yeah. So gung ho, let's do it. And then you see a dude who you blur your eyes well enough and you experience your own like greatest mistakes and own like cognitive distortions and ways of seeing the world that aren't quite right and aren't helpful to you and guide you down paths that don't lead toward well-aligned right action or anything like it. And you go, oh, that's a me. Oops. Fuck. Fuck, that's me. I see it in two broad ways. A couple, maybe a couple more, okay? Over the past months, I've started getting interested in physical conflict, combat. Dabbled with going into boxing. Started carrying a pocket knife, which I used to do throughout my youth. But I did it as a tool then, and I started doing it as a safety thing, like something in my head wanted that. Like a young man in no danger carrying around a sword that he doesn't know how to use. You know? And it's funny because I already chose not blades, right? I chose scissors. Cut through cleanly, not a blade. Two blades, right? Because there's balance there, because that's Kill la Kill's idea, because there's something to that. But I started carrying a blade around and getting kind of paranoid. I mentioned in my Discord even that I was looking at gun ownership, something that I've always been opposed to. And yet, out of some sense of fear or maybe some need for power, I found myself looking at that and watching videos about it and kind of getting pulled in. Whoa, interesting. But the biggest thing is twofold, and it has to do with the farm. My beginning of my journey as a man in some ways comes after. There are many ways to formulate it, but here's one. I could not take care of my father's farm, and so I was kicked off of it. It's my fault that I couldn't take care of it, and I don't know that I could have done differently. I think I could now, maybe. I'm a different person, but I don't know that I could have done differently. And so I've expressed this before, but I forgive myself for that. But through Olmar, I see it from another perspective, and I see myself as a little shit. Fuck. Insight. Fuck. God, why does it... Oh, it stings. Because it stings. Because it stings. And it stinks, too. Like, when you unzip some of your fucking... You open up your closet and there are skeletons in there. They stink. They smell. They don't smell good. Oh, fuck. What do? Button the closet back up and go, nope, not looking in there. Not gonna ignore them skeletons. No, man, we've learned enough to know that you can't do that. You can't do that. So what do? I freeze for a while. Find myself lost and locked in because I've got to, like, fully, like a snake unhinging its jaw, open my existence and expand it to incorporate this set of concepts about myself that are hard to swallow. In the truest sense, hard to swallow. And then I guess I burp and I blather all this out and tell you about it. So that maybe you can see what that looks like in somebody else. See what it looks like when you, like, hit that wall and have that self-revelation. And I'll bet that there will be some people who will be able to comment on this and be like, Oh, welcome to welcome to self-evaluation and awareness, man. Good on you. I've been there a few times. I've seen my own failures multiple times, and it's like the only way forward. How else are you gonna grow? Oh, yeah, but it hurts and it stinks, man. It sucks. Fuck. That's okay. So there's this whole aspect of my personality that I don't like. I don't like looking at even, right? The part that's weak and ungrateful, that on the flip side has a greed for more, a thirst for life and existence, a need for like something different and something more and something to change. But when you flip that around, it's a lack of value toward what you currently have, right? If you're always living for tomorrow, then when do you ever get the time to live today? And if you're there's a saying in the Bible that I find very helpful that I'll paraphrase because I don't know it exactly. I could pull. I've got a Bible. I could go and grab it. I could pull it. I don't care. Remove the beam from your own eye before you go to pluck the mote from your brother's. But that works internally too. It's like figure your shit out before you try to figure all the other shit out. Maybe instead of trying to change everything and like throw everything away and jump into being another person to live as Omar does inside these heroic ideals that are outside of his actual lived experience. Maybe you should figure out what your actual experience is, like where you're actually at, what you actually have. So the first part is that I didn't have the right set of values, I don't think, toward the farm that I grew up on. Not a farm, just a house, right? But in some ways, I blur my eyes and it's the same. There's a beautiful, idyllic place, a garden perhaps, and I am cast out of it in some sense because of my own mistakes. Whether they were real mistakes or not is left for the the theologians of the future to determine as they pour through Genesis, right? Like, okay, but that is the state of things, regardless, and now I have to deal with it. And then, in my outcastness, I have endeavored to build a new garden, to build something beautiful, and it's this channel, it's this place where I've fostered emotional growth and communication within a community and all these things and ideals, seeds that I've planted that have kept growing and kept growing, but need consistent work. Like a farm must be tended. It doesn't just work on its own, especially the way that I've set it up. And youthful me was a real dick about this because I set this whole thing up in a way where it tumbles if I stop working on it. And I could have done it very differently, right? From the outset, I said, like, I don't want to put things behind a paywall because that creates this incentive to just build up a backlog of content and then let it be. I don't want that, even though that would make my life so much better and easier. I don't want the farm to run itself. I want to run it. It's mine. It's the place where my spirit exists and where I will exist beyond myself. It's the trees that I plant for the future that maybe will never be seen and maybe will never be rested under, but I have to plant them. This is my farm. And in the last couple months, as I've vacillated and doubted and scrambled in all sorts of directions and tried to live out there, I've been seeking to adventure in some sense to find the answers. And having sat here and thought and said, like, man, this Omar kid is really dumb because he doesn't realize that the answers are right in front of him. This Omar kid is out, he's gazing out into the world with big, bright puppy eyes, and he's dumb as fuck, and he's listening to these idiots who have incorporated violence as their primary understanding of the world, and he's trying to, like, latch onto that too because he doesn't understand the nature of reality, and he doesn't understand just how good the current situation that he has, that his father has worked for, that he takes for granted, really is. And that made me go, fuck. Oh, fuck. Okay. Maybe I should go dig some ditches. Maybe I should go dig some ditches. Maybe I should go think a little bit in the forest. So I spent a little while in the dark these last couple days. Disconnected these last couple days. I let some people know that I've been okay, that we're power out, but things are all right. Then I spent the last couple of days puttering around my room, putting things away, moving stuff around and throwing trash away. And then when it got dark at night, I lay in the dark. I just let myself be at peace a little bit. And I'm only able to do that because the farm is still running. And so in the darkness, I had time to consider what to do next, how I want to talk about it, what might be important, and how I want to move forward. I've made some videos and some Patreon posts and some other things as we slowly gear in that direction, and I'm sorry that the change is going to be stumbling and puttering and misfiring and bad. But I'm down here in the pit. I promised I would be. All the way back in Mushoku. This is where we're going to get to. In true truth, I never got out from it last year. When I got really hurt, and when I thought I was dying, and I was wrong because I'm foolish. When I rode over the edge with David of Cyberpunk Edge Runners, I went straight into the pit, and I've seen a lot of things, and I've done a lot of things, and I don't know how they make sense to me. I've been all over recently. I've been a lot of places, and I've met a lot of interesting people. And I don't now know how to incorporate the experiences that I've had into a cohesive worldview. The one that I was running off of isn't complete. And so in that interim, I've struggled significantly with sharing that feeling and with sharing it all because I was so convinced and certain of certain positive elements that don't quite work when the rubber hits the road. And I've had the opportunity to really test them, really test my idealism and see if it holds water, see if it runs, And there are parts of it that do, and there are parts that need to be changed the fuck out, and I don't know exactly what those are. My gears are grinding and my shit's all garbled. That's okay. I think that's the conclusion that I've come to. I'm really grateful for what I have. I'm really deeply grateful for the ability to explore. And I'm really deeply, deeply grateful that I can come back and dig ditches and cut trees sometimes. And do simple things that have simple meaning. This is a really complicated, sort of powerful thing that I really believe in. It's not a simple thing with simple meaning, It's like the in-depth exploration of worldviews from the perspective of a person actively attempting to live them. It's the real-life application of childish ideals to the best of my capacity as a fallible human being while attempting to live in constant mindful recognition that I am such a fallible being. It's the living thing. It's like the most... Oh, the light went out. It's like the most complicated thing that you can do. But at the same time, it's just sitting and watching a cool piece of anime together. And that's all it is, right? And sometimes I get all up in my own head and I feel like I have to give a philosophy seminar every day. Right? Like, I have to try to save the world every day. And maybe I just need to watch some fucking anime, Maybe it's not that big. Maybe it will be emergently out of it. Maybe I just need to sit down and watch the anime. Get in the robot sometimes and see what happens. Push the buttons. Spend the time. Give myself the time. Have a little bit of respect for the other people who have a stake, however small, in this. Because most people who are a part of this in some way have a stake of $1. And even then, that's a tenth of the people who might be involved, because there are 35,000 of you and maybe 2,000 of you on Patreon. So maybe a tenth of those are actually have a stakeholders in some way. So maybe the stake is just attention, right? Your time, your willingness to listen to this idiot. And in the awareness that I am an idiot and I am fallible and I am foolish, doing my best. Doing my best to do things that are of value, that are useful, that are meaningful in a way that works for me and works for others. There's something there. There's something here. If man does not live by bread alone, then perhaps we need farms that produce things other than wheat. This is a psychic farm in the perhaps Freudian sense, I think. A farm of energy, of mental energy, of thought. And I'm really powerfully grateful for the opportunity to engage with it and make it run, and for all of the bits and pieces, seeds and cuttings and saplings that other people have donated to it over the course of all of our time, in the comments and in the Discord, and it's beautiful. And I didn't really do what I wanted to do for the holidays this year. I wanted to be here for the channel more, for Thanksgiving, and go through and do some real significant gratitude exercises and think it through. I ended up allocating my energy toward people in my life in order to give them support during a hard time. And I don't regret that, but I wish I'd had more me to go more places. And I wish I'd done or figured out a way to do both. But I can't make that happen in the past, so I can make it happen now. So I'm going to. And welcome to 2025. This will be the first real video of it. This year has started off bad, dark, scary, on fire. The world is literally on fire, and the world literally started with not having power. Or the year literally started with not having power. My light just went out, so I gotta... Yay! I'm gonna show you a couple drawings. This one is mecha maintenance. That's me, sitting there working on the mecha. It feels sad and broken. The mecha's me too, in case that wasn't clear. And the mecha's got a Gurren Lagann crest on it in some way. But it's broken. Because that's, in my mind, is representative of the ideal. And I'm not sure what my ideal is exactly. And the eye is broken. I've torn pieces out of it and I'm working on them and tinkering with my head down. That's where I feel like I've been at for the last while. Broken down, clutching my own mecha's head in its hands and trying to tinker with it. I'm not an expert at it. But I'm what I've got, so Been trying my best. Not sure if I have all the parts that I need. Been going through and testing parts. Does this work? Does this work? Does this work? Well, that doesn't work. Okay, what else is broken? Does this work? Maybe I need more parts. This one I drew first. I drew it right after rewatching through the Vinland Saga stuff. This one's called Shadow Play. And the start of the idea was that, man, it's really thin. I don't know why. Strong pose. Yeah, victorious, celebratory. Yeah, we're doing so great. Fuck yeah. Fists to the sky, you know? Point up, coming to point, all that jazz. And the shadow stretches out behind you further and further. But it's thin. It's so thin. That's how I felt about myself when I was looking at Olmar. It's so thin. Like, the strength and depth is there and it's empty in here. It's an outline and it's the solid, but it's not solid enough. It's not real. Somehow they've got to be drawn into one another and collapsed, combined, made to click and fit and work together in a way that doesn't cause the harm that the light self is afraid that the shadow will cause, and doesn't cause the restriction that the shadow self is afraid that the light self will engage in. There's a balance to it somewhere, and I'm not sure where it is. Emphatically, I have said being is good, and I've done so again and again as a statement of purpose. A thing to endeavor to make not be a lie. To make sure it never becomes a lie, right? But if I'm going to hold an axiom on high, then I'd better be willing to question it. And so, at the risk of losing myself, I question that. Is being good? Thorfinn certainly has questioned that, and he's seen quite a bit. The author that wrote him this way for a reason. As he stands there and is torn to pieces by, is it Fox? I feel like it's Fox. And Badger is the other guy, and then Snake is the one we just met. He stands torn to pieces and he asks, why must I fear death? There's nothing here for me. So Thorfinn says, no, being is not good. And instead of just refusing to agree with him, instead of just shutting that out, I have the terrible task, I think, of opening myself to it and exploring it. I've become close to someone who experiences great pain all the time, who suffers significantly because of things that are outside of their control. And in many ways, they have concluded that lots of being is not worth it and not good. I've got a new roommate who's a young man. He's 20. He flippantly talked about the meaningless of existence and how we were talking about something enjoyable and a source of love. I don't want to speak too much to somebody else's stuff, but he quite flippantly said it was like that he did it only so that he would have a reason to live, that he didn't have anything else. So in a world where around me lots of people are coming to the conclusion that maybe being is not good. Maybe I should take that seriously and consider it, and not block it out. I think I'm armed at this point with the tools to navigate it with a degree of care and nuance, as we, in what is one of the darkest places I have yet been, explore darkness, explore potentially nothingness, void, nihilism, the end. We do so in a show that has demonstrated to us peace and beauty, and then ripped it away, burned it, beaten it, killed it, enslaved it, fucked it to death. It has shown us darkness, human darkness, not as an ever-present force or a grand evil that is beyond our comprehension, but as very human forces that are very much within our individual power. It takes little for an arrogant young man like Olmar to become a killer. And it seems there are people who would endeavor to make him one. Indeed, Thorfinn was a young man and he became an incredible killer. Now he questions it all. Adrift, lost, pulled under the water by the many hands. Perhaps the many hands of those he's killed. How does he reconcile a life lived that way? How does he reconcile living at all? Maybe he can't. But I don't think that's the story we're telling, right? Maybe we're not telling some triumphant story of grand revenge. That's what the initial setup was. Maybe that's not the way our stories play out. Maybe the experience of life is a much broader thing. I've said a few times that when I've stated something like an axiom or a belief, I find it immediately challenged by reality around me. And challenged strongly. When I made my statements of purpose and swore on a pair of little scissors, shit hit me hard and fast. So I wonder if you can do the opposite. If by doing what Thorfinn has done and saying, there is no purpose, there is nothing, there is only death and pain and suffering, and that is the root of all existence. A thing which, if it's framed right, I think I believe. Or can believe. A very Buddhist idea. Perhaps by saying that, I will have the experience of having the world try to prove me wrong. Perhaps I will find myself assaulted on all sides by evidence of the opposite, evidence that there is meaning. And in truth, if I look back and I open my eyes to it, hard though it may be to swallow, there has been much evidence of that as well. Much care and much kindness. But I wonder how it all shakes out. What's all really worth it? Is there an answer at the end of the great striving? Or do we have to settle for the great striving is the answer? I don't know. I don't have the answers. I have a mecha with a broken eye and a shadow that stretches out behind me. I have a blade that I'm not sure that I want to carry, and a way of being that I'm not sure is right. So, in the midst of my own turmoil, I turn to the works of the past, to a work written and created by a man trying to give his children lessons for the future. And as a child seeking lessons, I think I'm in the right place. So let's watch another episode of Vinland Saga, and we'll see what answers and what great questions it brings to bear upon us. Thank you for joining me and listening to me blather here at the beginning. I'm going to leave the drawings that have been sitting on my mind for so long as the primary drawings for today, because I can't for the life of me imagine what else to draw. And we're going to watch episode 4 of Vinland Saga. Thank you so much. Much love. There will be 2 versions of this reaction. There'll be a picture-in-picture version with the video up there, linked in the description down there. I'm going to watch the Foxtrot version of Vinland Saga episode 4, Awakening, a title that feels fitting, perhaps, scary. Scary. Beep beep timer. Early access on the Patreon. Koagare. Yeah, show me fear, Fox. He's got that little contented sneer. Happy. Happy. So, who is he really? You just call him Aniki. Punch. We're all in. Report! Okay. He's still eating. He just never stops eating. Hungry boy. The nose broken. Yeah, he was supposed to do it. That was the whole point. I don't think that's like a chastised child. Man, that's a hard dude. Or an idiot. He's got to be curious about him, right? I feel like he's gonna draw on him or something. He is. Yeah, killing intent. Whoa, yeah, full killing intent. He's testing him. And so he's on, and now he's revealed. You might say that there's no point in death, but your body betrays you, Thorfinn. You act without movement. Or move without thinking. Ah, he felt it from the beginning. Exactly. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa. The wisdom of the body. We gotta talk. It's fucking Nietzsche. Whew. Oh, I feel so stupid. I feel so stupid. That's so good. 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 You are pretty sick. You're a ninja. Fuck. Who's I? Is I the pilot or is I the mecha? What do I want to live for? Huh. What if it's not about gain? We're gonna have OP, right? So this is gonna blow my mind. I mean, we could just stop here. We could just stop here and have ourselves a nice talk. We're gonna watch the whole fucking episode. I've written down what I can. Maybe there won't be anything more mind blowing than that in the rest of the episode, and so I'll remember it. But I want to talk about Nietzsche's concept, the wisdom of the body, and then his framing. What do I have to gain by living? To the unknown, I'll go against my sorrow. Oh man, I'm so immediately overwhelmed by how much is here. Sorry. What do I do when my mind leaps to answers? And we're shown that there's future for these men, you know? Like there is a way through. There is a broken dung beetle rolling its way up the hill, not looking where it's going, can't see where it's going, does it anyway. Fascinating. And then we switch that to the cart and the person on it rolling their own thing up a hill. Scarred up as fuck. He's pissed. The guests. So it's actually a problem. My guy, they were gonna kill him. Yeah. And even then, if it had been done right, probably. Sisyphean bugs. Oh. It is what it is. It is what it is. He's speaking a fundamental truth. Yeah, we can't afford. What does he have to gain by doing that, though? Here's an action that doesn't seem to come out of reciprocity. A little bit of a shining light, huh? Yeah. You take those when they show. The girl. She saved them? Or at least sent the ointment. Yeah, Milady Tip Tip. Fuck. It's like you say the thing and then immediately you get the proof, the opposite. Here you get kindness and beauty. doesn't understand, does he? Yeah, he doesn't understand that. Hoodie, hoodie. Say the words. He's a hedgehog. The little animal stuff is amazing. Yeah. I wonder when the first time he will say thank you will be. Man, he's beating the fuck up. He's off to work. There's trees to cut. Holy fuck. Can't let you do that on your own, bro. Double the hands makes half the work. Community, camaraderie, generosity, kindness, like immediately after our run-in with great peril and our statement of like there's no point in living. Welcome to the point in living. Some people seem to see a point in it. Your body does. It's only you inside rejecting it. He's a ninja. Viking ninja warrior. It's just the way it is. And right before that, he used a Shikata Ganai. There's nothing that can be done about this. But Einar doesn't like that. He hasn't seen quite enough pain to believe it wholly. Oh, yeah. Uh. Fallen trees. Lost count. Oh, man. Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to. Good answer. But still a deflection. Timber? Oh, because the tree is going to fall. But it still feels double meaning. I can't help but think of Fire Punch. Firewood. Firewood. Trees fall. The farm grows. The strong conquer. The weak die. Faces. It's like the trees. How many trees have you cut down? Oh wow, we have the little kid. It might be good to leave that unanswered. Yeah. Is it war? Is it the warriors? For a while it was the men at the helm, right? The kings. That was people have had these different beliefs about it, but it's like, it's unclear where we rest our blame and how we take comfort in that. Spooky. These scenes replayed in different tones as they are filtered through the internal. Is that real? Is that real? Or memory? The first burning. A warrior. The first destruction. He was a part of that, right? That's what we're to believe? What will you think, Einar? What will you do? Sinks deep into the grass. Is he going over to Thorfinn? Yeah, dark-faced. But Thorfinn screams in the night. Why does he scream in the night? There is murder in Einar's heart. Yeah. His face, their face, his face, their face. Whoa. And in his dream, running out of air, underwater, pulled under, can't breathe. Sweet relief, maybe. Oh, smoke. Burning. So in a way, they end up in the same place. Whoa. And so he kills another. Monsters' faces. Inhuman. Will you become that, Einar? No. This is his life. Killing to survive. Killing leaders. Killing people. And all he can have is shame now. Fuck. Grabbed his hand. The detail all over the bodies and hands throughout this has been stellar. Oh, I was trying to strangle you, bro. It scared me. Fuck. Smack? We're aimed toward living. We're aimed toward living, right? Oh. The peace. That wasn't what I expected him to say. He needs it to be true like I do. Don't act so spoiled, he says to the man who has the greatest misery. There's something to that, isn't there? Well, aren't you fucking special? Fuck. Fuck, it's right to the gut, man. Fuck. Now he's gonna move toward it. Fuck. No. All the suffering in the world is not yours to bear, is it? He said the words. He said the words. Whoa, that's gotten a few meanings. Thank you, and I'm sorry. In as many sentences. The crickets chirp. Who walks through? Is that Swain? Canute. Is that Canute? At Graves? In the dark, the moon closes. Okay. That is a different circlet. I'm not sure that that's Canute. Fuck. Fuck. I'm still stuck on a line in the OP where it says, without knowing, paraphrasing, without knowing where I'm going, I still get up and face my sorrow. Fuck. God damn it. It's right where I'm at. It's right where I'm at internally. It's right here. I'm right there. Without love. And now these scenes become real. The screams. Father. Those were Einar's eyes. And we drop away. You have to face yourself, your own hands. Struggling through, pulling something, right? And through that, he sees him. Up we get to strive and reach out toward the light, the unknown. Holding on to the power, lost my freedom. And here they look at shot with surprise at the rising of the sun. Awakening indeed. Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you for waking me. Thank you, Makoto Yukimura, for waking me. Ow. Ah. Ow. Fuck. God, I love doing this. God, it hurts and feels so fucked, and it's so much all the time. I hope we see a lot more of Snake. I'm deeply intrigued by this man. He runs. When he's around, everyone falls the fuck in line. He clearly expresses himself through force, but he uses force to back himself up in what might be a just way. It's curious, and he's curious too. We see his interactions with the old man, we see his interactions with his underlings, and we see the way that he interacts with Thorfinn. He is, and we see it here, there's an image of Ashalad in here. He is a leader of men, but he's also a killer, cold as stone. And something in that, like, there's an internal calculus inside of him. There's an internal organization that enables that, right? For Ashalad, the internal organization was that he's in this grand pursuit of a great betrayal that is just to him, right? So, like, all of his dealings with his men and his working toward power falls into this grander pursuit, this umbrella that he can justify, and so it all moves forward. We don't know what's going on inside Snake. It's just an unknown set of questions. All we see is the exertion of force that's produced by his force of personality. And the fact of his competence. Clearly everyone is afraid of him because clearly all of them know that he could kill them. So it's fascinating that he draws on Thorfinn here with what I believe must be real killing intent. Without warning, he seems to be trying to strike a killing blow. Curious about it, having observed his lack of pain, his lack of reaction, the speech and the back and forth that has happened. He took his time to figure out from his own men what actually happened, evaluate it, and then make a choice. And his choice was to attack Thorfinn and see, based on that, what he would do next. He's surprised by what he finds. He doesn't expect him to leap over his fucking head and, like, do a triple backflip. It's shocking. But suddenly we find ourselves here, and Thorfinn has done something that betrays him. I called it out because it's fascinating narratively, but I didn't know whether the characters would call it out within world, but they do. This is the sort of story that we're working with, where characters are really observing each other, humans really seeing each other, and pointing it out. We have deep community here, deep self-identification through mirrored reflections that occur when you interact with others. You don't really know who you are until you're interacting with other people. We're social creatures. And so in isolation, we're never going to figure Thorfinn out. But as bouncing off of Einar and bouncing off of Olmar and bouncing off of Snake, maybe we will. So Snake pushes him to the edge here, gives him a threat of death. And it's different from what Fox was doing, right? Fox was slicing him up and playing with him. He'd set this thing up as like you're a toy, you're going to sacrifice your life. And so Thorfinn engaged with that wholeheartedly, right? He walked to the gallows with his head held down, actually. I was going to say head held high, but head held down, resigned to his fate, truly resigned. And then what changes between then and here? It's just the way that Snake comes after him. It's the immediate knowledge of his own impending doom. It's like, that will kill me, and his body acts on its own. So here we have Thorfinn, who's got what he would think is an inescapable mental trap, right? I'm inside my own mind. All there is torment there. I've done only unforgivable things. There's no point in living. Not a single good thing has happened to me since I've been alive. This is my framework. There's no point to living, and he can justify that all in his rational brain. In mecha pilot space, okay? His mecha pilot doesn't want to get in the robot. His internal Shinji doesn't want to exist anymore. Doesn't want to fucking be here. It's not worth it. All I've experienced is pain. That's the Shinji story. My parents, pain. My community, pain. My experience of reality and what I end up being forced to do, pain. It sucks. Like for Shinji, it's abuse from the parents and missing parents and all sorts of things, and then internal tism and then being forced to get in a robot and fight giant aliens, and he doesn't like that very much. For Thorfinn, it's everything being burned and taken away from him and destroyed, and then being forced to be a fight inside his robot, right? Turn his mecha into a murder machine and become a pilot and a murderer. He didn't have a choice. That's war. We've told this story dozens of times in the last 75 years because Japan culturally has experienced the repeat and significant, or has to relive and rehash the trauma of World War II over and over. Has to. The trauma of a war where all the young men everywhere were expected to sacrifice their lives for the murder of others, right? And the creation of great kings and empires. That is a deep-seated cultural trauma that is expressed here in a wonderful analog through the experiences of Britain. Fuck. So we've told that story over and over as the young pilot gets drafted and has to get in the robot and figure their shit out and cause death. And then from there, figure out how to keep going. But here, it's his body. His body is the robot, and Thorfinn's mental person, who's still a little kid, by the way, is his mind. Thorfinn is not the man that we see. Let's be super clear about that. The man with the shaggy hair that we see and all the scars, Thorfinn is not that guy. Thorfinn is a little kid carrying 2 daggers. He's never moved beyond it. Never had a chance. He set himself in that position with this set of beliefs that was, I will move beyond this when I kill Ashalad. Then I'll be a man. Like, then I'll be outside of this trauma that's kept me here. But he didn't get to do that, so he finds himself stuck. He's just stuck there. He's experienced all of the traumatic events for many lifetimes, but internally he hasn't evolved beyond being a child, and an abused one, and an abused, hurt, vengeful, resentful, sad one, who's now deeply depressed because there's no outlook toward positivity for the future. And yet, with his whole mind aligned, and his beliefs entirely coherent, right? Nothing is worth it. It's all nothing. And he's able to stand there and face down genuine death. And I don't think there's something here where Thorfinn was looking at Fox and being like, this guy's not actually going to kill me, right? He's just going to slice me up a bit and let me go. Like, no, he knows he's actually going to kill him eventually, or Olmar will, or somebody else will. Or at the very least, if this goes bad enough and Ebby doesn't show up, they'll kill you to cover their tracks, right? We can't have a slave wandering around talking about how the guests did bad things. That would be too bad. Just kill him, be done with it, say it happened, throw his body under a tree, and it'll be great. We can laugh about it later over drinks. Thorfinn's mind is made up. Die. And his body says, no. No, actually. I'm here and I'm alive. And Thorfinn finds out in a matter of seconds which is in control. Because there's a real question. If you insist on separating your mind from your body, if you insist on taking a Cartesian dualist perspective, where there's a spiritual self and a physical self, and there's some separation between them, and some would say that that's a remnant of our religious past and a requirement to separate those things, our desire to separate the logos from the meat, the flesh is weak and the spirit is strong kind of thing. Well, Friedrich Nietzsche would disagree. The spirit is whatever it is, but the flesh is strong and the spirit is emergent from that. Maybe your mindset of all is death comes from your experience of reality. And maybe the viriditas, the greening force, the life that is within you, refuses. You know, it's pretty striking how people commit suicide when they're really serious about it. Because all sorts of people make cry for help attempts. And all sorts of variations of things that are well outside the scope of any few sentences that I could say on this. But what I'll say is, people who are really serious about killing themselves, I think, try to do so in ways that they can't stop, or turn back, or regret. They may try to make it certain and fast, or at the very least, like, it happens and then it's like the threshold has been crossed and there's no going back. I think there's this awareness, this knowing that you're overriding something fundamental in yourself, that there's a fundamental urge in your living body to stay that way. And I think in most of us, it stays until you are on your deathbed and breathing your last and you know it. But we are the only animal that we know of that can really convince ourselves that living isn't worth anything. Every other creature goes about doing it with all the certainty that could possibly be, all the certainty of gravity. You drop a rock and it goes down, you plant a seed and it grows. It just does. You don't ask it why it should. The seed has no comprehension of should like that. No comprehension of reason, you know? So perhaps that's not a great thing that we've come up with, this ability to question our own existences. And perhaps we should consider ceding to the wisdom of our physical embodied selves. Like maybe the entirety of history and before that for many, many times longer than are recorded, where every living thing in the line that has led up to you decided to keep living and then to bring more life into being. Selfishly for its own purposes, for whatever reason it does that. Like, if you want to turn that around and say, that's because it's a plague, life is a plague that only wants to destroy reality, and so I should end myself to end being a part of that. Okay, that's a strong set of self-rejections. Like, a really strong set. It's like, you have to take the entirety of living, all living things, and be like, that's not worth anything. But then I go out into a forest and it's like, oh, this is the most important thing that I've ever seen. I look closely enough at a leaf and I go, oh, that's the most fascinating thing in the entire world. And there are 10,000 of them on that tree. And then there are 10,000 trees in that forest. And I am like a mite in your fucking scalp hair wandering around in this shit, looking around like not understanding any of the scope and scale of it. How dare I, tiny creature that I am, say that all of this, all of existence is worth naught? Because my fraction of experience has caused my fraction of experiencing pain? That's pretty arrogant, isn't it? Fuck Einar. Einar cut straight to the core of me. Thorfinn wants to die and his body says no. Einar wants to kill him and his mind says no. On the flip sides of each other, each of these characters demonstrates the upset side of the teeter-totter of balance. They're such perfect foils, you know? Einar, in the last scenes of this episode, ends up hulking, terrifying creature. A monster himself, and he becomes truly monstrous, killing an innocent in their sleep. He endeavors to become, because of his pain, the same thing that he hates. In the same way that Thorfinn did. And as Thorfinn in his dream thinks, I am no different from those that I walked alongside. No different from those who killed your parents. Einar doesn't become the same. The cycle ends. The cycle ends when Einar sits up and stomachs it and sits there furious. Not able to act, unsure what to say. With the long silence passing, he sits there furious and decides not to murder the man laying next to him. The man who's asked for it. The man who himself thinks it's justified. He refuses to do it. Whoa. Whoa. Your body says it wants to live. And then he's just off, right? Because, like the great teachers, he's pretty nonchalant about making sure his lesson actually sits in. He doesn't really care. It's like, all right, I said my piece. Later, I'm gonna snack and nap. Snack and nap time. All he does is snack, nap, and drop wisdom. Guys, be nice. And also, if you end up actually... Okay, I understand how this scene works. If you actually fuck with them, like you try to cover these tracks, and I will end you. I like him so much. I like him so much. Thorfinn, you. And now it's his question. He was so certain. No, there's no point in living. Wait, do I? But then it raises a real question. A question that I think all of us should ask ourselves. Who's I? As Brennan Lee Mulligan said at one point while he was meditating, me? I? Brennan? Who is that? That's not real. Well, maybe it's real. Maybe the I is real. Maybe you are real. But are you something, some entity that's separate from the physical body you inhabit? Are you really a little boy who gets inside your dad's robot and pilots it around to save the world? Or are you and the robot more one and the same than you've ever been willing to admit? Is it really your being in whole? More of a symbiosis, a piece of clothing that you can't take off, as is, again, articulated in Kill la Kill, I think, really effectively. Or is it a machine? Like David's implants. A machine that's... Well, maybe you've plugged too many broken pieces into it and now it wants to take control. Are you the decider? I said in the last episodes, I am the decider. But who's I? Do my thoughts, my decisions come from me or from as emergent properties of my physicality? Does my gut control my mind as much as we're beginning to discover that it seems to? I don't know. But I'm fucking fascinated by this. Do I want to live? How can a man ask himself something like that? Shouldn't he just know? No, because we're not squirrels or seeds or trees. We choose. And we are blessed or cursed with the ability to make a choice that is antithetical to our own existence. We can rationalize ourselves out of being. Nothing else can do that. One must wonder if that on its own serves as evidence of free will. Not even in a spiritual sense, but in a physical, biological determinist sense. Some would say that we come to conclusions and thoughts that are just emergent out of our body's needs, that our emotional experiences are indicators of our internal world, and maybe they get upset in some people by a significant hormonal imbalance or internal neurochemistry imbalance, and that could lead you to the kinds of thoughts emergent out of that lead you to hating existence. But it seems like we can just fully go the other way. You can just fully, through rational articulation, go step by step toward believing that nothing exists, nothing matters, and you should die. It's pretty fascinating that we can do that. And so, if that's the experience of reality, if each of us actually has to actively choose to exist, if we need something stronger than existence itself in order to justify existence, that we need answers to these questions of, do I want to live? That we can even ask those questions. Maybe it demonstrates that we have the power to choose after all. I'm not sure. I'd like to think that we do. It's Hitchens' line. We have to believe in free will because we don't have any choice. But I think maybe we have to believe in free will because we do have a choice. And I think there's a big can of heartache that comes if you open it that way. Because that means that at every step of every set of actions that you've taken, despite the ways in which you were forced, despite the pain threatened against you or the death threatened against you if you had not complied, you could have made choices. If you're able to choose to die against the whole of your physical spirit, then you should be able to choose to die rather than raise a blade against someone else, right? And if that is true, then you have to reconcile with it being your choice to have raised the blade in the first place. That's pretty fucking terrifying. That's the true darkness, I think. To understand that every one of those men was not a monster or a ghoul or a zombie, as is expressed in Thorfinn's dream later, but was a man like you, a person like you, who was once a boy like you, who made the choice. Maybe somebody said, swing that sword or else, but you decided to swing it. And you say, I didn't have a choice, he would have killed me. You had a choice, he would have killed you. In that recognition comes the requirement for responsibility. That's very scary. True, deep responsibility, too. No joke. Do I want to live? And then the real question that he comes to, what would I gain from living? I don't know that that's a question that needs to be answered. I think we feel like it needs to be answered, but it seems to me like We live in a world of words. Our thoughts are bound in many ways by the words that we use. It's very hard to think outside of the system of words that we use. I think that there are sentences, phrases, questions, and answers that can be stated in words that can't actually exist in reality. Framings that seem logical and rational because they exist in word space, when they don't come from a place of reality underneath. This question strikes me as one of those. What would I gain by living is a very interesting question, because rarely is that the way that humans actually frame their lives. To most, one's life is the most valuable thing to them, and there's very little questioning done to that. There's never, my life is valuable to me because I will do great things in the future. There's like an inherentness to it. If I weren't living, there'd be nothing. What do you mean? What do I have to gain by living? Who cares? That's maybe the living. I'd be alive. That's a pretty big gain. People do incredible things to keep their lives. To many, they're treated as deeply precious jewels. The framing is strange. It comes from a place that says there must be external justification for my existence, and it must come in an exchange of value. Right? That's the framing that Thorfinn has taken. It's underlying. It says, okay, do I want to live? If so, there must be some part of me that sees a gain in that. I must be a rational, calculating creature. I must be. I think I am, and so I must be, right? I must be a rational, calculating creature, and so if I want this, there must be a reason for it. If my body wants to live, then it must know something that I don't. I've got to find out what that is. It's not the right set of questions, but it does point him in a direction that's feasible. A direction of questioning. Because just minutes ago, he was in a space of having all the answers. I know what life looks like. It's all bad. It's always going to be bad, and it's always only been bad. The whole time I've been alive, nothing good has ever happened for me. All my life has done is bring more pain to me and to others. Are you sure? And are you capable of judging that? A traumatized, beaten little boy with knives? Are you the capable judge of the worth of your own existence and the potential worth of your own existence? And are you okay and comfortable with making this a utilitarian? Existences are worth something in particular and are like tradable or like have a particular value that must be justified in order for them to continue? So we come to a core question then. Is it wrong to kill someone? Why? What did they have to gain by living anyway? They were just a peasant living their shitty peasant life. They're not going to change the world or be a great king or something. They're not going to line my pocket unless they're dead. So what do they have to gain by living? I'll decide that for them, and then I'll take their life. Oh, so once you start framing individual humans as potentially beads on the abacus, you can start making really dramatic, terrible calculuses like that? Yeah. What would I gain by living? Maybe living is of value. It certainly should be to the liver. The one who lives, not the organ. But what if it's not? And Thorfinn thinks it's not. He's able to rationally say that it's not worth it to me. The trade that I've gotten is bad. I've gotten smacked down and beaten, and all I've experienced is suffering and pain, because the root of existence seems to be suffering and pain, and that's where it all comes back to at the end. Born in suffering, died in suffering, lived in suffering in the middle. What justifies the suffering? How do I survive existence when this is all there seems to be? Fuck. Buddhism says detachment from earthly desires and moderation in all things. Pursuit of... It depends on the school. Pursuit of an awareness beyond the scrabbling that we are forced into by life's circumstances. That answer holds a lot of weight and a lot of comfort for me, but I don't know if it's universal in the way that I'm looking for. This is a fascinating question. It's in some ways a statement of intent for the story moving forward. An exploration, a direction for our characters to go. And so here, water rushing, holding on to anything, all I want is to survive it. If I let go, will it be the end of me? Got to move on, held too long. Mighty river, release my soul. I'm stuck in this current. I can't get out. I'm not in control. Release me so that I can go out there and see. I need to see the world. And so to the unknown, beyond the hills, out beyond the horizon that I can see, pierced the heavens, through the heavens, right? Like, out of my own box. I'll go against my sorrow. The current will rush against me, toward me. It will pull me back and away from this, but I'll go forward because I have to. Against my sorrow, I'll go. Release my soul. I can't stay here forever. So take me out. Take me away. Out into the unknown. I'll explore. I'll wander. I'm willing to open my eyes and break through what I think is there in order to find what might be. And so it shatters, and we see these men groan. Different hardness in their eyes. Direction to them. And that's what we speak to as possible. Here you are in a place of questioning. Here's what's possible for you. And it's not grandiose, right? They're not kings. They're not rappers dripping you with gold chains, right? On top of their fucking cars and stuff. They're not TikTok stars. They're just dudes. Standing there. Kempt beards. Put together. Hardness in their faces. Determined eyes. They're men. Not boys. It's fucking terrible, terrifying something when a show is just like, hey man, time to wake up. Oh, god damn it, I don't wanna. I don't wanna get in the robot. Dad. There's so much cute animal symbolism in this one. We've got the dung beetle at the start. I always like dung beetles. They feel like Sisyphean to me. You roll the boulder up the hill and the boulder comes tumbling right back down. But dung beetles are weird. They gotta go backwards, right? They can't see where they're going. They're just rolling somebody else's shit around up hills to get it somewhere. I don't know where they're going. Fuck it. I love it. Beep, beep. Backing it up. We got a dung beetle dump truck. And then we scale it up, right? Here's somebody riding a big wagon full of stuff up somewhere for somebody else's purpose. Food, right? Dung beetle, it's food. Hay is it's food. Roll that shit all up the hill. Onward it goes. Not so different, you and I, this little animal and this man. Sort of on its own path. You should heal up just fine. The guests and their pranks, and this priest is, it's unclear whether he's blind or just keeps his eyes mostly closed. It's sort of a cute thing, but there's something to this. There's something to his demeanor. Here he is, and he's a priest, father, and there's a lack of reciprocation requested from his actions. There's this genuine benevolence There's this goodwill that flows from him in this moment. He has this, it's a little bit too much though. He has this estimation of the guests. They won't actually have killed you. This belief in their fundamental good, maybe? Like at core, they weren't really trying. They were just doing a prank. They weren't really trying to do something evil. People aren't evil. That would be weird. And he's come to this conclusion while he's all scarred up too. Maybe I'm wrong about his conclusion, but there's some element of that here. And it might be that that's what's necessary in order to produce a spirit like this, a person like this, who engages continuously in giving, in helping, in bolstering others despite the brokenness of the world, who instead of saying like, yeah, I guess it all is all shit and I'm going to contribute to it, it's like, man, it's all shit and maybe we can do something about it. I really like the color and framing of this whole episode. There's darkness and shadow, especially on faces, that is stellar. We keep getting, I mentioned this feeling like we get sucked somewhere and then pulled back in, but we've been doing that in emotional states throughout this one. And we saw a couple times in this episode, we get a scene that plays out in reality, and then we see the scene echo in memory, and then it causes character action, and it echoes darker or a little bit twisted or a little bit off or recolored or retextured to fit their perceptions of reality. It's seen through a lens. Our lives are worth less than those of insects. And there was nothing we could do. This is how it is. The strong kill the weak. We are but animals, but insects. It's how it is. Insects get crushed underfoot. And there's a cricket that's woven through. I kind of feel like I've missed some piece of where the cricket gets crushed. Was the cricket crushed when the girl ran? Or was the cricket crushed when Einar got up? Or was the cricket crushed in dream and it was the cricket being crushed that led to the dream getting bad? I think that's what it was. And then we pull out of that and the cricket is actually alive. Full statement of worldview. The strong kill the weak, and so it is. The lions eat the lambs. It is only natural. And our closeness to these. Now. Like, hold on, man. Don't let the fact that this kid's super depressed get you down. You don't have to fight this battle. Anyway, I'll need to spread this. Whoa, we can't afford that. Don't worry about it. This is my responsibility. I'm in charge of overseeing your affairs. So there's an element of that. It's like, it's literally his duty. But there's real benevolence here as well. He has compassion and kindness. And we see that open in Einar here, you know? I want to actually see. We're up close here, and it's that blue. It's the same blue for the most part. It's just further out, and we see his face sort of soften and lighten a little bit. Okay, thank you. Oh, don't thank me, thank the girl. She did a really cute. Ah, the glorious one. And you should both rest. It will all be explained. And then he gives him the tunic. And Thorfinn... It's unclear how he takes it because he doesn't speak, so I can't speak on it. It's like it doesn't land. It's like, I wonder if he can comprehend at all that that's kindness or what it means. It doesn't seem to register. I'm not sure if it even gets that far, because my inclination, because of my own experiences, is to say that because of repeated trauma, he can't accept a gift that's given to him in good faith because he doesn't feel deserving of it. That's me projecting, okay? But I wonder if he can even understand that it's a gift. Like, what is this for? Or is it just a work uniform, right? Like, oh, you can't go back to work not wearing a clothes. Here's a clothes, and wear your prison uniform and there you go. And it's like, you don't say thank you to the guy who gives you your prison uniform. You put it the fuck on. But I don't know where he's at on this. It seems to non-compute. But we see later that he is able to incorporate the idea of thank you, of gratitude. And we see also this struggle in Einar where he actually is really good about it because he tells him what he's supposed to do instead of just getting mad at him for not doing it. There's a world where Einar doesn't know how to communicate this, right? And just goes, what the fuck are you doing? You're being mean to the father. What the hell? But instead he's like, you're supposed to say thank you. This kid doesn't have the right manners. But he looks at him like, what? I'm really intrigued by that moment. He gets frustrated too, and then we pop here. Oh, okay. That must be the mom. Yeah, okay, it's the mom picking up a kid and tootling dot 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 dot. And it's also really cute because so Einar's the mom here, clearly, and Thorfinn is the little hedgehog who just sits there being angry. That's so fucking cute. The Potter goes, I don't mind, that's just how Thorfinn is, which again demonstrates us the nature of the Potter's way of being, right? Like, it's fine. I'm just doing my thing. I'm being benevolent. I'm doing the good for other people. I don't need reciprocation. I don't need, response to that. I'm just doing it because it's the right thing to do. Whoa, why do you need to do the right thing? What's the justification for that? How do you know what the right thing is? Cans of worms we haven't gotten to yet. We're still on the is living, maybe, part. Why am alive? So he puts on his shirt and he goes back to work. These injuries are nothing. And Einar goes, fuck it, I'll go with you. But then it begins to fester in his mind. He's been to war. He's part of that other. But Einar tries to bridge the gap, tries to understand it, and asks questions he doesn't really want the answers to. Questions that he can't really comprehend because he only can see it from the outside. Einar only saw the sword and stuff as this potential, kind of in the same way Omar does, differently, but that heroic potential that he saw, he doesn't see the darkness in it from its side. He only sees the darkness caused to him. Not the darkness that led to that darkness. Not the fact that each of those soldiers has probably had their family burned. Or seen someone who has, or come really close and has made a calculus, has made a decision that this is worthwhile. Has made a decision to treat people like their numbers, like they can be made gain. That slaves are a way of working with reality that makes sense. That murder and taking is the right of things. That I will hold on to my power and lose my freedom. Einar can't understand any of those because he hasn't been through them. He can only see, here's this man. I've met a lot of monsters who are warriors. This man is a warrior. He was a monster. I love that we keep looking at the fallen trees as we question, how many have you slain? Why would you ask? I thought you weren't interested. And then he says timber, and another tree falls, and it interrupts things, but it's also in a weird way, it reads as an answer to the question. It's how many men have you killed? 5, 10, 20? And he goes, I don't know, why would you ask that? I thought you hated war. Timber. It's just wood. Just another tree. And that's the idea that's present in these visuals, in these scenes. I don't remember. When we look across to all the trees, and he blooms out from this rock. Is it on ones? No, but there's something really smoothy about it. Oh, maybe it's because the movement here is on ones, and then he's on the twos. But he stumbles and continues trudging forward. Having destroyed up to here, he wanders forward, destroying, for it is what I am. I took part in the Danish invasion of England. I was on the battlefield by the time I was 5. I was a warrior, was. And so he asks, do you despise me? And we leave it unanswered. So here we are. And Einar turns. And the fire starts in his face. It's not out there, it's in him. It's his rage bubbling up. I was a warrior. We see the same scene in darkness, reframed, retextured, recolored, replayed in his mind through his mind's eye. Not clear. It becomes the fire. And the fire becomes a sea of death. Death and loss. So he sits up, hulking, with this image in his mind of the death brigade coming through, and he walks over to deal death. Crunch. He sinks deep into the straw. These lines. Shadow. Shadow. Einar believes in life, believes that killing is wrong. So he makes his mind up to kill a killer. Maybe the first opportunity for anything like vengeance he's had. For Einar throughout this has been powerless. So he does what so many powerless people that we've seen in this series do. Take the form of power most readily available. Deal death and destruction. Swing the sword. This mask of murder on his face is stunning. The creaking as he puts himself into place, as every vessel and every muscle inside this large, imposing, strong man is tensed. We are very much aware of his body, of his size. We're very much aware that the one strength, the one murder is the other, that the one grimace of pain is the other. We shift these faces back and forth, and we say, here you are, about to be awakened yourself, Einar, to the real world of power and death and murder. The way that Fox was trying to awaken Olmar, right? Young man, what you need to understand is that Shing, this is all there is. Don't you get it? And he almost buys in. He gets right up here and he starts choking him out, and it is a mask of grief that is on his face. These eyes read as grief to me, pain. He acts. One rage becomes another rage, and I'm not sure whose faces those are. One face becomes another's face, and he strangles him. We pull his face away, frame it away from us. Crunch. So he silences the cricket as he's running. And he's running and he's losing air and he's blacking out. The forest is life, is existence, is the place. And suddenly there's fire. And suddenly someone's trying to kill you. Because this is Thorfinn's experience of existence. Since he was old enough to consider living, to think about anything, People have been trying to kill him, and his body has been reacting and avoiding. Killing them to survive. Leaping off of corpses and leaving a mountain of them, a pile of them behind him. Forced into this. And yet, he swings the blade. Every time. His face is set and he must do what he must do, and he doesn't hesitate. He's able to plug in and pilot that robot the way it needs to be, but he's left broken afterward. We see his face becomes jaded and jaded. The sea becomes innumerable. Death comes for him. So he gasps for air and he fights through. Up until the man who's last, who's not Ashalad, but that sword is very much the same, isn't it? This whole sequence is gorgeous, and I want to know who animated it. But then when he does choose to kill, the faces he sees are not those of monsters hurting him. They're old women, helpless. So he screams, and he tosses. And Einar... I don't know what Einar feels. I ventured to guess that maybe he would feel shame here. But I don't know. And yet he reaches out and grabs his arm, awakens him and lets him go. Black, dark hands. Why do you wake me? I've killed people, a lot of people, and so I'm no different from the people who killed your family. And this image, oh, it's so striking. Embers falling. Is it a tear or just the highlight on his face? It's less left for us. So he hulks again, looming over him. And he turns around again with fury. And he sees a shell-shocked, dead-eyed young man looking up to him with question. Do you really want to die? He sees the truth inside him that he really feels that. Do you want to die? Don't you get it? You've seen a lot, sure, and I don't care what it is. Keep your trauma, right? But you're alive now, and the little good that we're experiencing is 'cause we're alive now, and that life isn't yours. Somebody else decided it was worth it for you. Maybe they're right. Somebody kept you alive till now, and that's a good thing, he says. That's what he means, right? It's because the reason we're able to do all these things is because someone kept us alive. And he doesn't mean it in a crazy God faith sort of way, like God has protected us for some purpose, although many people find great comfort in that. The universe has conspired to make sure that I'm alive, so I'd better do something with it is one framework that might work for you. Doesn't do it for me quite, but the idea that someone did. Maybe it's something Einar needs to believe. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And he sort of frustratedly, without really having the ability to change anything, kicks at some straw. Damn it. And it's incoherent here. You're so spoiled, so arrogant. What strange things to throw at somebody who's at the edge of everything and suicidal. But there's something there. We've done all of this to live. I've done all of this to live. How dare you decide that it's for naught? How arrogant, how spoiled. And then, at the core of it, My trauma is not your responsibility. He finally settles, having come to that conclusion. You didn't kill my family. You've killed a bunch. You've done things that are emblematic of what I hate. I don't know how to cope with that, but you didn't kill my family. And killing you isn't going to bring them back or solve anything or do anything but make me a killer. Don't be so arrogant. And finally his eyes soften. He's able to look at the grass. And we get, thank you, Einar. Thank you for waking me, and it has some layers of meaning here. So we make it a cute thing. I'm sorry, Einar. Yeah, go to sleep. And the cricket is not crushed. That was only in a dream. It escapes just before the boot falls, somewhere else on another side of the world, in a graveyard that darkens as clouds come over the moon. A young blonde man probably makes some kind of choice. I gotta imagine that this is Canute, right? He's got a crown. He looking hella masculine now. I mean, with them eyebrows those caterpillars are not on fleek. Does that spell the coming of great war again? It's likely. Where will our characters find themselves in that? I don't know. But if we do anything like the kind of questioning of the fundamental nature of existence that we've done in this episode, I think I'm going to find it pretty fascinating. Thanks for coming along with me as we, without knowing where we're going, push against our sorrows. I think, in some way, I am affirmed in this position that I'm in where I don't have the answers, and I'm willing to state things into reality as though they might be true, treat them as though they are, and see how that feels. I think maybe I can make the two statements as dialectic, as incompatible, and come to something like synthesis over the course of this. The two statements are, being is good, and what if good doesn't exist, and there's nothing transcendent, and there's nothing beyond existence as is, and at the root of all of that is suffering and pain and death, and being is good. And at the root of everything is suffering and pain and death, and being is good. It feels like I'm stretching those snake jaws open to try to incorporate those two ideas at once. And my brain trembles at the effort of doing so. But I think I believe both of them. How do I become... How do I become someone who can live in such great contradiction? I don't know. I'm happy to try to find out. I'm happy to have you along with me. I'd be very happy if you'd check out the Patreon and see if you want to see next week's episode a little bit early. Thanks very much. I'll catch you in the next one. Much love and peace.